Good morning, everybody. We're going to be in the book of Acts, chapter 13, starting in verse 26 today. When you jump on, why don't you share it out with a friend and let me know you're here. And as always, though rarely taken up, you got questions? Post your question. It's fun for me to answer. You make my day when you ask questions for me. So, verse 26, Paul's in the middle of this sermon at Antioch in Pisidia. Now, there's more than one Antioch, and, I wish I could pop up a slide or something for you guys to look at. I mean, I got my Bible on the back here on the missionary journey map, but I speak and then I go, look, that's Egypt. Missionary journeys. Look at that. It says first and second. So, Paul, of course, this is probably written backwards to you guys, but there's Antioch in Jerusalem. They go to the island, and then there's Antioch up there in the middle of Turkey. So, just so you know, two Antiochs. That's why it's called Antioch of Pisidia. There's Pisidia, Pamphylia, Phrygia. Those were all regions in the area of Turkey, or Asia Minor, as it was called back then. Done with the history stuff. Let's move on to actual Bible study. So, verse 26, men and brethren, sons of the family of Abraham, and those among you who fear God, to you the word of this salvation has been sent. For those who dwell in Jerusalem and their rulers, because they did not know him, nor even the voices of the prophets which are read every Sabbath, have fulfilled them in condemning him. I always think I'm gonna make it farther today. I really am. Like, today's the day. I'm gonna make some headway. But this just crossed another verse that I read this morning. I was reading in 2 Chronicles chapter 25, and I want to say it was like verse 2. But let's look here first, and maybe I'll flip over there in just a second, because it says that there's these people in Jerusalem, the religious leaders, religious people, and they didn't know him. They didn't even recognize the voice of the prophets. And even though, nor even the voice of prophets, which are read every Sabbath. I guess the big emphasis is that even if you hear the Bible being taught every week, does that sound familiar, like a place we all might go? Huh? We can go to church every week, hear the Bible taught every week. And with this scenario, these are the people who crucified Jesus. In 2 Chronicles 25, I'm almost there. So we hear about this guy. Let's see if I found it. Aha. So Amaziah, he took over after his dad died, or was allowed to die. Anyway, I won't get into the whole history of the kings of Israel, but verse 1, Amaziah was 25 years old when he became king, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Jehoiada of Jerusalem. He did what was right in the sight of the Lord, but it was not with a loyal heart. And I think that's something that maybe just tied into me is, this guy did all the right things, but it was not with a loyal heart. These Pharisees and the religious leaders at the time of Jesus, they went to synagogue and they went through all the motions, but their hearts were not right. Here it says they did not know him. And knowing him is not only the quintessential part of becoming saved, knowing him is the greatest fruit of being saved. That's the thing. It's not just that I must know him to go to heaven, but it's that I get to know him here on the earth. And it is to know him and be known by him. Having that intimacy with God is a beautiful thing. And yesterday, as we closed our church service, we even prayed, during worship. It was if anyone didn't know that feeling, that sensation with an actuality, with a reality that a true, like I know it, like touching the hot fireplace is going to burn me. It's knowing that there's nothing better than knowing him. We were singing that song. There's nothing better than you. No, nothing. Nothing is better than you. And that's the idea, is knowing him. These guys here, although they heard the preaching of the prophets every Sabbath day in the synagogue, though they were the sons of Abraham, though they had all these things going for them, they never even knew him. And yet others who know him enough, others who know him enough to be saved, they never know him enough to really enjoy him the way that we ought to. And that might be looking at that King Amaziah, where he did the stuff that was right, but not with a loyal heart. His heart wasn't in it. And I'll tell you what develops a loyal heart is experiencing the goodness of God. When you experience God's goodness in your life, all of a sudden you begin to follow him with all the more of a loyal heart, with everything you have, because man, God is just so good. Quite often we experience his goodness the most when we experience forgiveness. There's always that breaking moment. I know a few of you at least have had that, where, there's been a season, whatever's been going on, but it's definitely been a drag, and it's affected your walk. And then maybe you go to church, maybe you just finally get alone at your home to pray, but someone reminds you, a verse reminds you, somehow you're reminded that no matter how foolish you've been and whatever you've gotten mixed up in recently, you're forgiven. And it's that reminder that just usually breaks me, that regardless of my own foolishness, I can be forgiven. And that's part of knowing him. And so nowadays, I find myself in my faith much less easily shaken because of how well I've just gotten to know him. And I don't think there's a better way, and you'll probably hear me preach on this every single time I get on here. There's no better way to know him than by reading the manual. I can't remember when it really hit me, but it was this triangulated truth in the Bible that the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. The Word is Jesus. Jesus says that I am the truth. John 14:6. John 17:17. Jesus says, sanctify them in your truth. Your word is truth. So see, the Word became flesh, became Jesus. The Word is truth. Jesus is the truth. You have this triangulation here. And what it is simply this. It's, some people think that, maybe you can get too, focused on the Word, but I'm sure with the wrong heart or wrong mind, maybe, but my mindset is that the better I know the Word, the better I know Jesus, the better I know him. And I want to know him. And I don't think you can really experience Jesus to the depth and the richness and the fullness that he would have for you without that understanding of the Word. Oh yeah, can God show up and do some kind of miraculous sovereign act? Of course he can. But as we grow in the Word, we will be growing in him. We will know him. And as we come to know him, we won't struggle with a loyal heart. We might struggle with the flesh. We might struggle with the world and with Satan, but we're not going to struggle with the fact that I know him and I know exactly where I want to go back to and exactly who I want to turn to when things get tough. So, knowing him. We got 2 more verses done. I'm going to call that an accomplishment. So, God bless you guys. Remember, you guys got questions, and I don't even care if they don't relate to these Bible studies. Post them up, and I will get to them as I go just because I find it fun. And I always find that when people have questions, other people in the class, I see Lisa's watching. She's a teacher. Y'all know that like when one kid has a question, they all have the same question. So, encouraging you guys. Have a great day. Have a Merry Christmas. We'll see if I do one of these on Christmas morning or not. Probably going to be busy. So we'll play that one out. Have a great day, guys. Take care.